Did you know that Dave Kunst is the first person to travel the whole world by walking? But he used aeroplanes to cross ocean. But right now we are talking about another miraculous man, Carl Bushby. He decided to walk around 58,000 kilometers, which took him around 27 years. During this journey, he crossed various countries. He walked through places with very cold temperatures, jungles and rural areas. He faced snakes and wild animals. One of the biggest challenges in his entire journey crossed the Bering Strait on foot between Russia and Alaska, walking over frozen ice. Carl Bushby was born on the 30th of March 1969 in Hull, England. At age 16, Carl joined the British Army. During his time in the army, Carl realized that he needed a huge, audacious goal to prove himself something. He drew a line on a world map from his home in Hull and conceived the Goliath expedition, his plan to walk around the world without using any transport. Carl Bushby began his epic walking journey on the 1st of November 1998 in Punta Arenas, Chile. His ambition, called the Goliath expedition, was simple but audacious: to walk around the world with unbroken footsteps, never using a car, plane, boat, or any mechanical transport, and not to return home until he reached his hometown of Hull, England. Carl Bushby's crossing of the Darien Gap occurred on the borderlands between Colombia and Panama, a 320-kilometer stretch of remote, roadless rainforest that forms one of the most dangerous and inhospitable regions in the Americas. Halfway through his journey, Bushby was detained by Panamanian authorities for 18 days, who doubted his story and were suspicious of a lone white man traversing the jungle without clear documentation or purpose. After finally emerging from the Darien Gap, Carl Bushby pushed northward through Central America, crossing Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala entirely on foot. Each country brought new challenges, rugged mountain passes, and long stretches where he had to camp by roadsides. In rural areas of Honduras and El Salvador, he often walked through regions affected by crime and gang activity. By the time he reached Mexico, one of the longest legs of his expedition, the scale of his mission became even more daunting. He spent years walking across the vast deserts and mountain ranges of northern Mexico, often battling isolation, dehydration, and scorching temperatures. Crossing into the United States, Bushby entered a new phase of the journey, one defined by long highways, extreme climates, and the sheer size of the North American landscape. He trekked through the American Southwest, experiencing blistering desert heat, then pushed on through the Great Plains, where endless distances and powerful winds slowed his pace. Every step brought him closer to the frozen wilderness of Alaska. As he moved north through Canada and toward the Arctic, the terrain grew harsher and the weather more unforgiving. Yet Bushby remained committed to the goal he set in 1998, reaching the Bering Strait on foot, no matter how long it took. Carl Bushby confronted one of the most feared obstacles of his entire expedition: the Bering Strait, a frozen, shifting gateway between North America and Asia. No road, no bridge, no safe passage existed. To stay true to his rule of continuous footsteps, he had to cross it on foot. In March 2006, accompanied by fellow adventurer Dmitry Kiefer, Carl stepped off the Alaskan coast and onto the ice, immediately entering a world of brutal Arctic conditions. At night, they slept knowing the ice could break apart below them without warning. Yet step by step, they pushed on until they finally reached the Siberian coast. Russian border guards immediately detained them for entering outside an official checkpoint. After being released from detention for entering the country, Carl was allowed to continue walking for 11 years. He walked through remote Chukotka, a region so vast and empty that he sometimes went weeks without encountering another person. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck, Carl Bushby's Goliath expedition already stretched out across continents. Travel restrictions and border closures forced him to pause parts of his journey. At that time, he was in Kazakhstan, and the lockdowns and visa issues made walking forward nearly impossible. Faced with no safe overland route, he made a bold and almost unthinkable decision: to swim across the Caspian Sea. In August 2024, Carl teamed up with fellow adventurer Angela Maxwell and two young Azerbaijani national swimmers. Each day they swam in 2 sessions. Over 31 days, they covered about 288 kilometers. After the grueling 31-day swim across the Caspian Sea, Carl Bushby landed in Azerbaijan, where he resumed walking toward Europe. He trekked through Azerbaijan's countryside and then entered Turkey, following a long route along its coastline and inland. On May 2, 2025, he symbolically crossed the Bosphorus Bridge in Istanbul, stepping from Asia into Europe at last. From there, he set off across Europe for the final leg of his journey, walking through countries that for him marked the home stretch. From Turkey, he crossed European countries and finally reaching his home in Hull, England. Completed over 52,000 kilometers by walking